this is Heather Dewberry. I'm from NoExcuseScrapbooking.com, and I've got a handy-dandy helper today, my son Simon.
Hey, I was going to say, I'm Simon!
It's my son Simon. And he's going to help me show you how to do some tie-dye tissue. We're going to tie-dye tissue paper. Here's one that he made the other day.
I didn't really care that got rips in it.
Yep. So he made one. I made a whole bunch. And this gives you a general idea. This was the very first one that I experimented with. I'm repeating myself. There's all sorts of things that you can do with the tissue paper. I mean, you can make tissue paper flowers.
Flowers.
I think these came out really well. You could use it as wrapping paper. You can use it just to stuff a bag and make it look pretty. You can add it to the background of a scrapbook page. There's so many things you can do with this. I'm sure you'll get nice and creative with it once you start playing with it, because this was a lot of fun. I'm having a hard time not turning my whole pile of white tissue paper into colorful things. Alright, we're going to get going and show you what we're doing. Is there anything you want to tell them about our show, our tissue paper? You think you should wear it on your head?
A chew.
It's not that kind of tissue paper.
Oh.
I've got two techniques for you. One is one you can use with traditional tie-dye pattern techniques. This one is a bullseye, a swirl that didn't come out real well. And then there's a crumple technique. This is the technique that your kids will love because it's fun and messy. My son did this page, this one. So you can see it's very messy and very wrinkled. When you're done with tie-dyeing and it's all dry, you're going to want to iron your paper so you can use it for other things. This is using the crumple technique. This is what I made. As you can see, it's a little less wrinkled because I worked hard not to get it as wrinkled as my son did. And then here's a better image, a better one with the swirl technique. It's a traditional tie-dye technique, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm just going to show you real quick what you need to do this and how easy it is. It's amazingly easy. You'll be surprised. Tools you're going to need. You're going to need some kind of cleanable surface. I have my non-stick craft mat underneath here. A plastic tablecloth would work. Wax paper is also a good idea. Just something that you can wipe excess ink off of, and something that you can spray ink onto, because that's one of the things we're going to be doing. Alright, you're going to need some white tissue paper. I got a value pack at CVS. You're going to need some spray inks. I've got a whole bunch, everything from Dilutions and Mr. Huey's to the fireworks from I got at Joann's. I got some glimmer mists. So a whole bunch of different sprayings. You can use whatever you want. You can even make your own with some Distress inks and some Pearl-X powder. It's up to you what you use. You need paper towel to clean up after yourself. This is important for the crumple technique especially. And then you're also going to need a little mister so that you can dampen your paper for the tie-dye technique as opposed to the crumple technique. Alright, first thing you do, we're going to start off with the crumple technique. And you're going to grab a piece of tissue paper and you're going to just crumple it up. There's a reason this is called the crumple technique. And then you're going to pick a ink that you like, and you're just going to give a quick spritz on your non-stick craft mat, your wax paper, your plastic tablecloth, whatever you got, and just lightly dab. And you're just going to get just the crinkly parts are going to pick up that color, just the surface parts. Some of these inks spread more than others, so pay attention to ones. The Dilutions have better distribution. They spread easier. So these are what I'm going to be using to do the tie-dye technique. But the other ones are great for this technique. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess. And spray another color. Just one quick spritz. And I'm going to crumple it up in a different way. So I got a different surface. Make sure it's nice and crumpled. And you just lightly dab. You don't want to dab too hard, because if you dab too hard you get just a big surface area. Whereas if you just lightly dab, you get just the top edges. For all the colors you use, and make sure that you wipe these down. As you can see, the Mr. Huey's, the pigment likes to stay around more. So this is one of the things that you want to use your Mr. for, just to spray your craft mat down so it's easier and quicker to wipe it clean. You can just rub as hard as you want to get it clean, but this is faster, just using a Mr. to clean it up. Moving it around to get spots that haven't been touched yet. And crumpling them up and lightly dabbing. Alright. You're going to go through quite a bit of paper towel because you really don't want to leave things behind. As you can see, this is what I'm already starting to get. And as you can see, the yellow, the dilution spreads more and it gets everything wetter. The Mr. Huey's and the fireworks ones, they don't spread as well. They're not as thin, I guess is what we're looking for. You want to try and not crumple and recrumple it a lot, because the more you crumple, the softer the paper gets. Alright, so I'm going to crumple it up some more. As long as you want, until you get a page that you like. I'm just going to keep going. I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch me through the whole process. My son liked to do, one of the things he really liked to do is he liked mixing the colors to see what he would get. So I'll just show you the dilutions mixed together really well. And you just keep going. I'm going to add a little bit more. Oh, look at this. See how this is? I ripped it because it was too wet. That happens. You got to be careful when you're opening it up. And that if it gets too wet, dry it off a little bit with a heat tool. Leave that alone and let that dry and see what that comes up with.
Has it started yet?
Yep, it's recording you.
Well, when it's recording, it just going crazy with rubbing around. And I think it's going well so far.
Oh, good.
There's different ways you can
can do it, right? Like you can just scrub around, you can dot, or you could just rub it in circles, which is one way to do it.
Alright, so that's the first technique. It's fun, it's messy. My son loves that technique. The next technique is using a typical tie-dye technique. We're not going to use any rubber band because I don't want to rip the paper, and rubber bands can rip the paper. We're going to start off by crumpling up the paper, and then we're going to grab the middle, and we're going to twist just a little bit, and then I'm going to get out my mister, and before I go much further, I'm going to give it a quick spritz. Water helps dyes move. These are all water-based dyes. So by using a little bit of spritzer, you get a better transfer of your dyes. And what I'm doing is I'm just twisting this into a spiral so that I can get a nice spiral image. And it's a typical, and it's pretty wet. And once this is done, I'm going to let it sit on an extra piece of non-stick craft mat, because if you play with this and manipulate it while it's wet, you are going to rip it. And you want to be able to use it for whatever craft project, or even just to use it to put in the in a gift box. And I'm just going to spray. And thinking of this has, I don't know, a wheel, and I'm going to spray the wheel in 3 sections. Oops. And as you can see, I'm not worried about my fingers. Fingers make a huge amount of mess. You get it all over yourself. My hands are very dyed, but I can tell whether or not I'm transferring ink if I have my hands bare. This stuff all washes off eventually. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. I'm going to try and spray some more in the middle so that I get more transfer all the way through. And I'm just going to let it sit for a while. Let me wipe up that. Because that's the one thing you want to make sure you do is you wash your hands between things, you dry your hands off, because you don't want to transfer your fingerprints all over everything. And if I'm wearing rubber gloves, I'd have to change my hands every time I did stuff. That sounds pretty wasteful to me. I'd rather just go wash my hands. Alright, let me find another craft mat to let that sit on. Alright, here's one other very typical tie-dye shape that's fun and easy to do. And that's basically the bullseye pattern. Alright, I'm going to first crumple it up. Now, once again, I'm going to start from the middle, and rather than spiraling, I'm going to make a long tube, like this. Okay. I'm just going to crumple it up a little bit. I'm going to get our spritzer out. You may need to get up and get more water. And I'm just spritzing all around it. And I'm out of water, so hopefully I've got enough water on there. I can go get more, but I think that's enough water. We'll see. I'm going to start here. On one end, we're just going to spritz all around in a circle. And then we're going to do another color. And then we're going to do another color. I think I'm going to spray it a little bit more because it looks like it's not going all the way through. And I want it to go all the way through. Now, there's the yellow, there's the teal. Let's do Another round of purple. Purple's a lovely color, don't you think? And maybe some yellow on the end. As you can see, my fingers are filthy, but it should come out with a really cool bullseye pattern when we're all done. Now, before I go any further, I'm drying off our craft mat because we want the colors to pull from each other, not off the mat. We want the colors to pull down the paper fibers, not off the mat that it's sitting on. Alright, I'm going to let those sit for a while, and then once they're dry, we will come back and I'll show you the end result. Alright, I'm just going to open these up. I just opened this one up and it is done. It is, as my sister said, it's a little bit more subtle. I was just showing it to her. She said, it's subtle. It's not quite as filled with color as the other two that we did, but it works for now. I don't know what I'm going to use with it yet. Then we've got, here's the bullseye pattern that came out lovely. It's still a little bit damp, but I'm going to open it up so it dries out a little bit faster so that I can iron it and maybe use it for a project in about a little bit. So we've got that one, which I think that came out gorgeous. Then here we're going to open up the swirl one, see what we get. Once again, the ink's not getting all the way to the center, but I think it came out pretty lovely in spite of the fact. So, it's sort of interesting. I like it. I hope you guys like it.